Okay, so hello everyone. This is the URBONUS podcast. I'm the host Donatas URBONUS. I'm joined by Augustas Šuliauskas, who is in the studio. This time I'm doing the podcast remotely, but I guess I'm wearing the right shirt on the podcast, right? Augustas, do you feel the
Wow.
Philippines hype?
I mean, you are the leading the bandwagon of Philippines, I guess. I don't know. Actually, I enjoyed that game, but I think what we can learn from these qualifiers and the group stage is that a lot of underdogs have shown what they're capable of. A lot of surprises, to be honest. And
One of the most unpredictable qualifiers. I mean, we got Poland, Georgia, Montenegro eliminated after the group stage. One day Croatia destroys Slovenia. The other day they get beaten by New Zealand. You know, we saw this great game by Brazil on game day one, and then they suck. I mean, a lot of Latvia, they're destroying Georgia and they're losing to the Philippines. A lot of interesting things were happening actually. So we're gonna share our first impressions of the first two games and the Olympic qualifiers. Also, we're gonna share our kind of predictions for the semifinals, and then of course we have to discuss this Sasha Vezenkov bomb that Olympiacos just dropped yesterday. But let's start. I mean, in this unpredictable environment, let's start from probably the most consistent and solid team of the qualifiers. To me, that was Greece. Because, I mean, they got those two wins quite easily. They had this great game by Giannis, 32 points in 18 minutes. And I really loved what I saw in their game. I mean, when Giannis looked like Greek god on the FIBA court. You just cannot stop him in a regular way. And I think that you have to be radical with your defensive decisions and actions, like, for instance, Czech Republic was 2 years ago in the Eurobasket. And if you remember, Germany also took sort of a pattern how to stop Giannis based on that game. But I didn't see Dominican Republic doing anything in particular against Greece. So they kind of got this easy victory. But just in general, Greeks to me are beautiful to watch. A lot of passing, a lot of extra passes. I like the organic usage of Giannis. You don't feel that they're forcing the game through him. So I just felt like that they're approaching the most important games of the qualifiers in the best shape. So, and that might be a real advantage over Slovenia.
that first game was just an amazing one, to be honest. Like, we were talking about, are they going to hit threes? And not only they did, but they made 52%, 16 made three-pointers. What more can you ask from that? You know, around Giannis, you know you're going to have the transition opportunities. You know you're going to force turnovers with your defense probably, and that is also going to lead to some easier shots. But then if you make your threes, Greece just really becomes a super dangerous team. So this is what they did in the first game. I wouldn't even call that a real test for them, to be honest. Like, I think they did not have a real, pressure where they felt in the first two games. And now it's the semifinal, and immediately it's against Luka. So it's going to be interesting, but I see them as heavy favorites against that. But they looked great. I liked them. Giannis didn't even need to play the second game. That's also kind of a important factor, I would say. Luka was not resting. Luka is coming into this tournament hurt. And here is Giannis just having a light practice against Dominican, 18 minutes, didn't miss a single shot, 9 of 13 free throws. I actually enjoy his quicker free throw routine. I don't know if you noticed that, but you remember how he was using like a lot of dribbles, a lot of big pauses, like heavy breathing, like to control that. Now he just does one spin, one dribble, one breathe in, and he just shoots, and it looks way more organic than it used to be. So
hey, you cannot have this 10-second routine shooting free throws in Greece. In US, you can do whatever you want. In Greece, I mean, they don't have that patience. They're gonna start cursing you or whatever, even if you're playing for their national team. So they're gonna be like, "Hey, Malaka, you just shoot the free throw. What the fuck are you doing?" So I think that's for sure. It's related to the environment where he's playing. Facts only.
It probably is. But I like that. And yeah, I don't know what's not to like for Greece and their chances, to be honest, really. Like, as I mentioned, looking to their semifinal, they really looked great. The lineup that they have, the starting lineup has, I think, enough shooting. They can have bad nights, but it's just, I don't see them losing, to be honest, especially in the semifinal.
I mean, my only hope to confirm my pick for the qualifiers in Piraeus is to expect some, okay, I'm not saying a miraculous game from Luka, because Luka it's a casual thing for him to do some miracles on the basketball court. But I just didn't like the picture of the Slovenia team that I saw. Especially the game against Croatia was just ugly. I mean, I saw, and it starts from Luka, but it also goes with the rest of the guys, because I think that Luka is the leader of the team, and others kind of picking an example from him, and also, Luka kind of transmits his leadership to the other guys. And I just saw the oldest 24-year-old guy just ever, the way he was acting, the way he was moving, the way he was reacting. I think that he was not locked in, and it was Luka that we've seen already in the quarterfinals and the semifinals in the previous competitions. In the other game against New Zealand, I saw a different Luka that I liked. He was locked in. He didn't care too much about things that were not going his way. And to be honest, New Zealand didn't make it very difficult for Slovenia in a way that they missed first 11 field goals. They weren't so hard on Luka in trying to put him in mismatch situations, which Croatia did significantly. I mean, starting from Dario Šarić, then Jalen Smith, or anybody who was guarded by Luka. Against New Zealand, for Slovenia, it was way easier to hide Luka, so maybe that was also one of the reasons. But I don't know. I don't trust Slovenia anymore, and I have this strange love and hate relationship with Slovenia. I fell in love with them in 2021 Olympic qualifiers in Kaunas. I was the number one fan of Slovenia. But, this is like, having this toxic relationship. When you have your spouse, which sometimes is brilliant, romantic, passionate, top class, everything is perfect. But then your spouse, starts drinking, goes party, and then shows up only at the evening of the next night, or starts cheating on you. That's how I feel with Slovenia, in some games, in some competitions. So I don't know. You cannot trust them because you don't know what kind of version of Slovenian Luka you will get. At the same time, even though displaying this game, I don't think that Greece should be, not confident. They have all the reasons to be confident. But they have to be aware that Slovenia is the team that can just, provide a great game, and it will be enough to beat Greece, even if they look that good, because that's Luka Doncic. And if only they will make their shots, if only they will be in their rhythm, and Luka will be locked in, and his leadership will be transmitted, I mean, it's going to be a difficult night for Greece. But again, I'm relying my hopes and predictions based on something we didn't see yet, and based on something that I hope to see. So I think the ball is in Greece's hands, but I will stick with my decision. I will stick with my pick because otherwise I will have everything to lose, because I already got Georgia and Montenegro after the groups Olympic qualifiers in Latvia. So I feel really bad about it.
If only New Zealand could have lost like by 9 points, you would have had picked 3 winners who didn't even get to the semifinal. But going back to the Slovenia and Greece matchup that we will see on Saturday tomorrow, I agree with you. Like, as I mentioned, Greece, heavy favorites, but when you have Luka Doncic on your team, you can never be sure about winning. And so I definitely agree with that. He can have a great game, but I want to go back also on that point how he looked against Croatia. Like that was Luka Doncic. And by the way, one hell of a comparison with a spouse. Wow, that was a nice one. That was a nice comparison by you.
That's how personal
So
it is
going
for me,
back to
man.
that game,
Nothing funny, nothing entertaining. It's just a pure pain, man.
Okay. It was pain, to be honest. Pain watching Luka, pain watching Slovenia. I actually thought Slovenia would have done better in that game without him. Like, that's a crazy thing to say or hear. I can understand. But with the way he looked, he even got a triple-double. And, like, everybody is posting the stat lines. Oh, hey, casual day in Luka's home. Like, he got a triple. He got out, entertained us, and got a triple-double. His man scored like 40 points because of the way he played defense. He didn't play defense. He was walking there. Let's be honest. And first he was guarding Dario Saric. Dario Saric just goes into the paint, like no resistance whatsoever prior to catching the ball. One dribble, easy layup. He does that twice to start the game. Then Luka is guarding like Jalen Smith or some other guy on that team, and he's
some
basically
other guy he picks to guard actually, because he's just deciding the matchup. It's not like it's coach decision. He just decides the matchup based on rotations.
He is that. No disrespect to the coach, but he basically decides what he does. I think when he sits. It's no doubt. So basically, when somebody gets the ball into the post, he just goes there, stands in the middle in the gray area with his hands like held high, like imitating he's playing defense with the legs that are straight. Croatia just pass the ball to the perimeter back to his man. They make a 3-pointer. And even the most telling probably example was when Luka got a switch on Ivica Zubac. He shot a step back 3-pointer, Luka. Zubac touched the ball, so it was an air ball. And guess who was the first to go and score, to go back or to score a layup? Like Ivica Zubac was already making the layup. Luka was barely passing the half-court line. So it was just... And then on the offense, you have Luka playing defense like this way. And then in the offense, he started 1 of 9 in the first quarter and 3 of 15, 3 of 14 in the first half. So no shit, Slovenia are down by 20 points. Like, it's his team, basically. He is 70% probably of that team, the way he plays offensively and defensively. So
that's why I like Giannis fit in Greece more, because he's all-around presence. And I think that's huge. He might have his own limitations offensively, and the opposing teams, they might throw something that, will contain him, will stop him, and it will make it look really uncomfortable for everyone. But defensively, he just, you have zero complaints about Giannis' defense. With Luka, that's the worst part, because if you have the ball all the time offensively and you don't play defense, you don't even try to show that you try to, or let's say you don't even fake defense. It's a really bad copy. It's a really bad fake of the defense that he displayed against Croatia. Then it just, that's the way you feel playing street ball with one guy who runs the show offensively and who is not going to get back to the defense at the end. So it really, at some point, it transmits to the entire team. But for instance, against New Zealand, I saw a different Luka. He was trying. He was sprinting in defense. It takes not so much to make a difference. And it really made a difference, not only defensively, but energy-wise. And it felt like the team, they were on the same page, let's say, with Luka and him trying more in defense. But again, we're talking about not so perfect New Zealand team. So we'll see how it goes when you face Greece with this crazy performance by Nikolatis, by the other guys. It's also kind of a little bit easier for Giannis because you're being used in a different way, and you have guys like Nikolatis who will make your game easier. So I get it, but I just have a higher standard for Luka. I really love the guy. I love the sacrifice. We're kind of criticizing and complaining the guy who just 2 weeks ago played again hurt in the NBA finals, who is always showing up for his national team, and he's the reason why they made that far in all these previous competitions. But at some point we have this really high standard for a player who might be considered, I don't know, FIBA GOAT. To me, offensively, he's the most impactful player in the qualifiers. That's for sure. In Europe, that's also for sure. So we still have some standards for the GOAT players, but yeah, this is Slovenia, this is Luka, this is their story in every freaking competition.
Yeah, respect, like probably last thing, as you mentioned, respect to him for actually showing up, playing hurt. We might be criticizing him here because of what we see on the court, but at the same time, you can actually respect the guy for actually showing up, for not skipping. He never says no for playing for Slovenia, for his national team. Although probably Dallas don't like it. Your franchise player is playing kind of hurt through injuries after playing in the World Cup, after having a long ass season, and now he's back in the national team. So respect for Luka for this.
If you do not want to be too late, the hype of VJ Edgecomb or Ali Hassan, and you want to make money of this opportunity by creating a website, a fan page, or a merch store for these two guys, I have a great tool, a great suggestion for you. And that's our friends Hostinger and their website builder, a platform, a tool that helps you to create a new website, portfolio, online shop, whatever the product you want to create on the internet in basically 15 minutes. Hostinger website builder.
And basically, as you have already seen, guys, we have already did a lot of tries actually in real time during these podcasts, during the video breakdowns I make or Gitas videos of how we make the website on our own, basically in 10-15 minutes. Like we have tried to make the Ritis merch. We have tried to make a website for Ritis where he can read all the Panathinaikos fans' comments. So you have seen all of that. So if you just want to cash in on the opportunity, making a website, whether that's an online blog, whether that's, just selling merch, I know that's super popular. If somebody goes viral, if now VJ Edgecomb is going viral, maybe of his, I don't know, Statue of Liberty dunks, poster dunks, you can just put it on the t-shirt. You can make a website, an online shop with Hostinger. Their AI website builder is great. It allows you to just do that in 5 or 10 minutes. So, you have seen us do it here in this studio. So why not try to do it on by yourselves? That's a great tool. We recommend it. And actually, Donatas has a code that will give you an additional discount.
Yep. It's BNews10. Additional 10% discount for all hosting plans by using this code BNews10. Free domain as well as free AI website builder is included. What do you think about the qualifiers group in Latvia, the Philippines, and all the rest? A lot of crazy things were happening out there.
I think it's the how to say, not the easiest, but the least strongest, I think, qualifier out of all. But at the same time, I did not see much quality in the Puerto Rico one, so I don't know. It was really interesting because so many surprises there. You picked Montenegro to actually win that, but they did not even get out of the group. Then Philippines winning. Then Georgia, of course, due to injuries, maybe not performing very well. Cameroon then getting out of the group. I don't even know where to start. Like probably first was Brazil actually coming back in that game against Montenegro. I thought Bruno Caboclo was just amazing in that game. He started the game off the bench, and after 7 minutes, he entered the court, and I don't think he ever left it. Maybe in the second half, but he was basically, after 3 quarters, I was watching the box score, and he played 23 minutes, which meant 23 minutes straight. And he was everywhere. He was doing it all: offense, defense, running the break, impacting the shots, passing the ball. I thought he was amazing. Like, there's always some talk, some rumors about him and his off-court stuff, dealing with teams, dealing with that kind of stuff. But when he's on the court, sometimes he's just brilliant. And of course, Marcelinho Huertas. I love watching that guy hoop at the age that he is. And basically what Montenegro did in that game, they did not allow his passing, but forced him to shoot every time when he was playing the pick and roll. So the guy was just jumping out of one leg or falling away, hitting the off the backboard shots. It was just a beauty to watch, the way he has, kept in shape his body and obviously his skill.
And he hit the dagger against Montenegro. And I'm just laughing because of the Marcelinho Huertas craziness. There was this game against Montenegro. I think that they were up by 2 in the last minute of the game. And Marcelinho Huertas hits the dagger. And I remember before that shot, I see the pass coming and I think Marcelino was kind of open. And I'm like, there's no way. Come on now. There's no chance that he will just destroy Montenegro with that shot. And of course, that's what he did, So the guy just makes us smile. And speaking of smiling and speaking of people watching somebody and reacting, I wonder how Željko Obradović was actually feeling watching Bruno Caboclo performing against Montenegro. I mean, and I can relate to probably 80% of Partizan fans who were probably watching the game and were like, my brate, where you were this entire season? Brate, what was happening? It was different Bruno Caboclo. It was different guy probably playing in Partizan. I mean, almost all the things he did they were perfect. Offensively, defensively, he was a game changer. So that's probably also Bruno Caboclo's story. A lot of inconsistency, but if he at some point he ticks all the boxes, he can be really, really impactful player, even competing against the NBA guys like Vucevic.
What about Philippines? Were you surprised as their coach?
I mean, Philippines taking over the BasketNews. I mean, if you thought that we were Serbian news, Partizan news, Zvezda news, if you thought that we were Greek news, Olympiacos news, eventually not Panathinaikos news, we're actually Gilas Pilipinas news by a huge margin. I mean, I checked the stats on the BasketNews.com website. I mean, Philippines were the biggest crowd at our website by far, huge margin. So, and of course, that was inspired by their victory against Latvia. Apparently, it's only the first win in official FIBA competitions against European side by Philippines since 1960. It kind of makes sense, but
wow.
It was just historical. And I mean, I was watching the game, and again, Latvia just destroyed Georgia, and I'm like, okay, maybe I was wrong with my predictions, not believing in another Cinderella story. And I see this game against Philippines, and they had like 0 chances. Philippines just dominated the game, and I was just really shocked. And at the same time, I was really, I would say, happy because these people, they're crazy about basketball. They deserved to see their beloved national team winning. And I had my first Philippines basketball introduction last year in the FIBA World Cup. I was at the opening game of the championship in this huge arena with 38,000 people supporting Philippines. And they struggled a lot. There was a lot of hype. Jordan Clarkson was there. It felt like, Jordan Clarkson is already a crazy player, I would say, a wild player. But the guys who followed his leadership, they were also, also because of this hype, because of these expectations, they tried to be NBA players as well. But they're not NBA players. And this team, I think, they're more relaxed. They're more locked in. The naturalized player that they have, again, apparently he's Kobe by the Philippine players, Justin Brownlee. He's different type of player, although he takes a lot of shots. These shots are different. I see more ball movement. I see different, more versatile basketball. They score a lot of points in the paint. They're passing the ball, So I think that this is more of a team. and that's why they got this victory. They were just too physical for Latvia. Of course, they had two big guys in the lineup. I mean, with Fajardo, who is 2'11", and Kai Soto 2'18", and they're playing against Latvia, who miss a lot of important players in their front line. So they killed them inside the paint. Of course, there were some lucky shots, and Philippines in general, they're physical players. You know, they play all the time. They play at the line of the foul. You know, so they got on Latvians' nerves. There were a lot of unsportsmanlike fouls, technical fouls by Latvians. So I think that's what also was impactful in that game. But I was really enjoying Gilas Filipinos that night, to be honest with you.
Just my one thought from their game of how they play, and actually same remark from what I saw in other qualifier groups, is that teams who actually play more against the logic, against the system type of basketball, like who are wild, who are a little bit chaotic, who don't bother to play one-on-one, who don't bother to run in the transition, are actually doing really good in this tournament. Like Filipino and Puerto Rico, two teams, and maybe Bahamas a little bit as well. Like those three teams are not afraid of running in transition, of just playing a simple pick and roll, just looking for advantages anywhere. You don't play the set. You don't look for advantage in like 15th or 20th second of the possession. You just go out there and hoop like in basically in the street. You know, there's some guys that are just better than others. You have this chance of just taking the ball, doing something, and you know, Kai Soto, Justin Brownlee, and Puerto Rico, Jose Alvarado, Tremont Waters, they're just doing their stuff, and it's actually working. And you have, you know, they're fired up, everybody's happy, everybody's motivated, inspired. And, you know, Philippines already did more than they were supposed to do. So it actually worked in these qualifiers, I would say that.
Yeah, I had the same impression. I mean, the game looks so simple, but in a lot of situations against Latvia, it was so effective. You have this guy, Fajardo. He's 2'11", but he's so strong. To me, he's top three most physical and probably most powerful player in the world, next to Boban Marjanovic and Steven Adams. I put him in this top three. He's so big, he's so tough. So you just pass the ball inside the paint, where you have Latvians who are shorter, who are not that powerful, who are not that strong, and Fajardo just finishing inside the paint. That's it. No spectacular schemes, no spectacular sets, no miracles, just simple basketball with some lucky shots as well, of course, defensive effort and stuff like that. That makes a difference in a level which is not that high, in a situation, in a tournament where teams play 4 games in total, and that decides the Olympic tickets, where teams play with no preparation. So, I mean, a lot of unpredictable pieces moving together, and in these situations, these teams might thrive. So that's one of the reasons of this Philippines effect.
Do you know his nickname?
The Rock, maybe? No, I don't know. I'm just guessing.
the Kraken.
The Kraken, okay.
Makes
a lot of sense.
For his size, and then basically because of the way he plays. So a legendary sea monster of enormous size.
That guy is tough. I've seen him live, so I was like, again, I put him next to Boban Marjanovic and Steven Adams for a reason. So, Philippines are real. Philippines are real.
Well, let's see. They have 2 more games, and now they're playing. Wait, what are the groups there? Okay, we'll talk about that later. What should we talk about next? About Bahamas?
Philippines will play Brazil, so exactly, we'll see.
It's going to be tough. It's going to be
let's
tough.
talk about another maybe sensation. They were already a FIBA basketball sensation by making it to the Olympic qualifiers when they got all the NBA guys together. That was a sensation. Then there was just a lot of hype. We weren't impressed. You remember our last podcast? I think we were sleepers on something. But now watching them win those 2 games in that fashion, I think that we were just a little bit underestimating them. and probably Bahamas hype is real. Would you agree with me?
I liked what I saw from them, but I don't think I just can't put them over Spain. It's too hard for me to actually say that they are the favorites to win that tournament in Valencia. But talking about their style, talking about their play, I was actually impressed. You have 3 NBA guys. You have again a style of play which is basically Eric Gordon, Buddy Hield handling the basketball, making plays. You are running out into the transition. Sometimes DeAndre Ayton is there inside the paint doing work. VJ Edgecombe is basically the guy that is making his name heard for everybody else. He was projected already in a top 5, top 7 pick in the mock drafts right now for the next year's NBA draft. And but probably nobody knew that because we just had the 2024 draft. Nobody still yet cares about 2025. But he is making a name for himself in this tournament. He's actually their top scorer after the first 2 games with 3 NBA guys on the roster. And although he's not handling the ball as much, he's doing just everything. He's running into the transition. He already had 2 poster dunks each in one game, and those were just nasty. And he's making the free ball when he's asked to, sometimes an occasional one-on-one. He's super energetic, super athletic, going for rebounds, just doing basically everything on the court. And he really impressed me a lot in these 2 games. And I actually cannot wait to see him, playing for Baylor. And I did a little research about him. He actually declined Duke and Kentucky offers. So that was interesting. What do you think about Bahamas?
I like that part when you mentioned that he was ahead of the 3 NBA guys, and the kid is 18. The kid just played his first actual professional basketball game against Finland and scored 20. And I was told by one NBA scout that if VJ Edgecombe was in this year's draft, 2024, he would have been picked first. I mean, that's how good he is. And to me, he reminds me a lot of, Ja Morant. He didn't play a lot with the ball, but, the energy, the size, the skill set that he has, to me, it was Bahamas Ja Morant for sure. So I was impressed, not so impressed about Bahamas basketball in general, because they're quite wild, and this wildness fits or leads to victories when you play against teams like Poland and Finland. But at the same time, you cannot be very strict with them because it's a completely new national team. A lot of NCAA guys, 18-year-old kid is your top scorer of the team. A lot of, different strange pieces that is so hard to get fit together. So at least they're fun to watch. They're unpredictable to watch. They're fun to watch. And that to their advantage, Spain is not impressive at all. They were not impressive in the preparation stage. It doesn't look very confident and promising at the start of the competition. At the same time, it's freaking Spain. They're world champions, European champions. They're just champions inside. It's championship mentality. And when they will have to play this, decisive game, probably we're going to see a different version of Spain. So that's why I still put an advantage to Spain, but I cannot say I wasn't expecting Bahamas to play like that, but I just liked how wild they were, and I'm really entertained for the last 2 games.
Yeah, their group was pretty easy, I would say. Finland without Lowry is nowhere near the same Finland. As great as some other players are, as great as their coach Lassi Tuovi is, it's not the same team. And why I think Spain still has the advantage, basically because of how long they have been together. How much it's important in games like this? Like you know each other in every situation, what to do defensively, even if you have practiced for 1 or 2 weeks. You already know because your habits might remember from last year or the year before. They have been together that core have been together for so long. So and what I saw from Bahamas is, as you mentioned, they have a lot of talent on that team. Like their lineup is pretty impressive. But when the game is on the line, when there's like 3, 4, 2 minutes remaining, and they were up in both games, I just see some moments where they make mistakes against the ball pressure or just against a really tough defense, simply because first their ball handlers are not really point guards, and simply because they don't really know what to do in these situations. They have been together for a couple of weeks, and that's why I give Spain the advantage if they meet, in the final game there.
Yeah, and they have top class point guard on their end, Lorenzo Brown. So that he might be crucial as well for these last two games. So yeah, but
Yep.
I just like this new thing of Bahamas basketball. Our colleague Edvinus posted the video how the team was coming to the game. There's the team bus of Bahamas, and there's the Andrew Ayton coming with a private van for the game. So a lot of, let's say, cultural differences about this team as well. I mean, just the whole picture. A lot of NCAA guys. This guy Edgecomb, the next big thing in the NBA. 3 NBA guys on the roster, completely new team, and they are about to maybe even make the Olympics, not just because they played in some weak continent, but also because they're in the qualifiers and they might actually beat world champions.
But there was not only him, right, coming with a van. It wasn't only Ayton. I think our colleague Edwin said that it was not only him. There was another guy. I don't know if this was Buddy Hield or Eric Gordon, but I don't know. I don't think it's such a big deal. Like do. Everybody has their own routine. So
exactly. But it's just a different thing. Because in Europe, if you're the Serbian coach and your main player, gets a private van to go to the game, you're probably not going to play the game actually. So that's just different vibes that we have from Bahamas.
Right. What do we have next?
We actually have the last qualifiers in San Juan, and we have this thing with Lithuania. A lot of people in Lithuania already pressed the panic button. What's about you, my fella? Especially watching Puerto Rico and Italy playing in another group before the semis and the finals.
Honestly, the Lithuania don't look good, but we always had a hard time against African teams because of their physicality, because of their athleticism. I thought Lithuania suffered a lot because of the ball pressure of their opponents. They played full court defense probably the whole game. That was a big key factor. Lithuania couldn't go out in transition to score easy baskets as they did against Mexico, and so I think we are still the favorites. I think Italy look horrendous, but it's the same thing with Italy. It's the same like as Luka. They can have a really good game on any day. They can make 15 3-pointers and beat Serbia in the quarterfinals of Eurobasket. Although they don't have Nikola Jokic, So, but I'm not, I still think we should win against Italy. I think, they play small ball, but we have Domantas Sabonis' presence inside. I think Italy's transition defense is really terrible. What I saw from their game against Puerto Rico, Jose Alvarado looked like, Steph Curry at some moments. And they scored so many easy baskets. So I think we have our own weapons. Italy have their weaknesses, and I think we should prevail. I think like Puerto Rico is if we meet them in the finals, if Lithuania meet them in the finals, is actually going to be a tougher opponent because they play this chaotic game that I mentioned before, and it's actually chaotic beauty, I would say. I enjoyed watching their game against Italy. I enjoyed how they play. They're obviously led by two really quick guards, Tremont Waters and Jose Alvarado. And they're both just doing whatever they want on court. They're expressing themselves in the transition, in the pick and roll. They're trying to just beat their own man in front at any time. And then they just go from there. Yeah, it might lead to some turnovers. It's not consistent basketball. But it's really hard to play against. Like, you don't know what to expect. They just attack at any point of the game. They go out and if there is an open shot, like Alvarado pulled up from way behind the 3-point line a couple of times in this game, making 7 of 10 threes. And it was like, we could do actually, like in Basket News for social media, we could do like a meme, where they have this mask off. You have like Alvarado, and then you take the mask off. It's Steph Curry. I think we should do that after what he did in this game. So I'm still confident in Lithuania's ability to win. But at the same time, I'm just a little bit worried about a couple of things. And Puerto Rico is a really fun team to watch. So it's going to be interesting. What about you?
Can you imagine if they had Marcus Howard as well? We have this level of craziness already in their game, and you add Marcus Howard. I mean,
but how would they do that? Like, do you have Tremont Waters, who is below 180, 5'11"? You have Alvarado, also a really short guard, and then you have Marcus Howard, who is also below 180, 5'11".
They would find ways to play them all, actually, because that's, I would say, the beautiful thing of the international basketball. All the things we mentioned about Puerto Rico, about Bahamas, about some other teams, they go beyond European basketball logic, European basketball standard. Constructive, systematic basketball, everything going according to the playbook. And these teams, we usually tend to connect it with the hot temperament, different mentality, but it's just the way they play the game, and they just play the game differently. And there's nothing wrong with that. They're just having a different background, different approach, different basketball school. And that's the beauty of these FIBA World Cup competitions, with clear, let's say, basketball schools and the differences that we have. So yeah, it's going to be tough for this, because even Italy, for Lithuania, they're not European, not standard European team. So I don't know. One of the main concerns that I have is the way we Lithuanians contain guards of the opposing teams. I don't like one-on-one defense a lot. It feels like that nobody on our team can play any one-on-one defense. From the offensive standpoint, I don't like Rokos Jokubaitis in this tournament. I'm really disappointed, and I'm really concerned. And when things go bad, you always have Lukas Lekavičius showing up. Either it's Žalgiris or the national team, and it's crazy because Lukas Lekavičius was actually basically he was left out of the rotation when Kazis Maksvytis was the head coach of Žalgiris before he got fired. The guy got fired. Lukas Lekavičius earned more minutes under Andrea Trinchieri. He plays for the national team. I think he didn't play in the national team competition last year, and it was, a lot of people thought that it was because of Coach Maksvytis, but he returns, he plays, and actually he saves their asses against the Ivory Coast. So Lucas is tremendous, and his help is huge. Watching this game, this display that we have from Rokos Jokubaitis. So we'll see. I'm not panicked. Of course, there are concerns. Of course, there's no quality, but I'm not expecting miracles. In these type of tournaments, you just have to win, no matter how. You don't have to be in the most fashionable team in the competition. Usually, we play ugly, but we tend to win ugly as well. So it's all about winning. And I'm still thinking that we're gonna advance to the Paris Olympics.
More worried about Italy or Puerto Rico?
For some reason, I have a bad feeling about Italy, because I have this, it feels like I visualize the future where everybody in Lithuania were saying, oh, if we didn't win against Team USA in the last year's World Cup, we would have faced Italy in the quarterfinals, and for sure we would have advanced to the semifinals. I have a bad visualization where I have this nightmare where Lithuania lose to Italy, and everybody are like, oh, so it's not necessarily that we would have advanced over them in the World Cup. So, but it's also based on the matchups. Although I like Sabonis more at the center position than Valanciunas for the defensive reasons, I still think that they're a bad matchup for us. And if we have issues containing Mexico's and especially Ivory Coast backcourt. I had my jokes about Stefano Tonut as their main facilitator one-on-one on Italy's side, which to me is like, we have to beat that team if that's the case. But now I'm concerned. I mean, I'm concerned how we're going to stop Marcos Pisu, Stefano Tonut, all these other guys, even though they don't have Simone Fontecchio, who would be, disaster for Lithuania. So we'll see. We'll see. You cannot be confident about anything, about anybody, I think, in the qualifiers.
No, yeah, I agree with that point. But at the same time, you mentioned you're worried about how Lithuania are stopping guards. That's why I'm more worried about Puerto Rico. Tremont Waters and Jose Alvarado and their fast game. This is what I'm a little more concerned. But I don't know. I think with Italy, they have a really poor defense. A lot of targets there defensively on the court, basically at all times. And so I don't know. I think we'll have offensively. I think we'll have points of attack, inside the paint and also on the perimeter. So I'm somehow not that concerned. Of course, they are a 3-point shooting team, so they can have their night. But I don't know. I think we should win.
Yeah, I still stick with Lithuania. And to conclude our first impressions of the first two games at the qualifiers, I asked you to put your favorite lineup of the start of the competition.
So I'm going to go, let's say positionless. I tried to take one big guy, a couple of guards, but I wanted to have definitely Jose Alvarado and the way he plays with Puerto Rico fans behind him. I think there were no people for other games in San Juan, but when Puerto Rico plays, that atmosphere were electric, and I just love that. So I'm going with Jose Alvarado. Then I'm going with two Bahamas guys, Buddy Hield and VJ Edgecombe. I think we already talked about them. They have been impressive. Then I have Dario Saric, who had a triple-double against Slovenia, and a more impressive triple-double, I would say, than Luka Doncic, and he actually got the W there. And I'll go with Bruno Caboclo. Just an amazing performance in that game against Montenegro. But I'm just going with personal preferences. I'm not saying these guys played better. So it's just my favorite guys, probably were favorite to watch. And my honorable mentions are Huertas and Marius Grigonis.
Oh, really? I forgot about Huertas to get him on my team, because for guards, I picked VJ Edgecombe for the reasons I mentioned. I also picked Chris Duarte because I loved this few stretches that he had against Greece and the game Dominican Republic against Greece. And at some point, watching him score, watching him making three-pointers and stuff, at some point I thought that what are the odds that in 2 or 3 years, Panathinaikos or Olympiacos will go after him because he will be out of the NBA and they will need another scorer. So I would easily see him, after playing this game in Greece, and he was really solid, I would easily see him, coming back to Europe and Olympiacos or Panathinaikos being the first stop in the EuroLeague. So just for this reason, I just have this crazy thought about it. That's why I put him in my lineup. I also have Giannis, because to me, he's the most complete star of the qualifiers, and I loved what I've seen in the first game.
Of course.
I have Bruno Caboclo for sure, because he played at Luka's Giannis impact level, I would say, in this Brazil-Montenegro game. And I put Ali Hassan from Bahrain because the guy showed that everything is possible. So he has to be on the team, that's for sure.
Shout out to Ali Hassan. The man, the myth, the legend. What a guy. I mean, such a nice story. I don't know. I just felt good watching that.
Yeah, I mean, crazy guy. I mean, I understand that a lot of people might just create memes about the guy, make fun of it, but when you put take yourself out of the room, and when you see this whole situation, even my line about saying that everything is possible, it's proved by this example. There are no limitations, no size limitations, no height limitations to be on the highest stage. And it's just a unique story to have the guy like Ali Hassan in the tournament playing important minutes for his team. Although Bahrain is destroyed by everyone, but it's a lifetime story, and lifetime story for the guy, but also for, I know, Puerto Rico fans who are cheering for the guy, for others who might get some really good inspirations for their future. So shout out to Ali Hassan, the champions, the MVP of the people.
Talking about champions of the people.
And MVPs.
And MVPs of the people, or the tournaments, or to be exact, the EuroLeague. Man.
What do you think about this whole situation? Sasha Vezenkov reportedly returning to Olympiacos.
I just want to go back 4 days to what we talked on Monday's podcast. This whole situation is just weird. I mean, is it official? It's not official because Toronto did not say anything yet.
Yeah. And the ball is in their hands. If they're not letting him go, and still it's kind of possible, although I think that they already had this conversation about his future and his intentions. Because from what I heard, from what I understood, it's possible that Toronto couldn't guarantee him a guaranteed spot on their team, a clear role or a big role. And that's where maybe they kind of felt that, okay, if that's the case, I might come back because there's this Olympiacos team that wants me badly. And I just want to go home and I just want to play. And that's why this whole situation has developed, that now he's he's heading back home because, there was always interest from Olympiacos side. Even before there were something like, not an agreement, but commitment that, okay, if I go back, I will play for you guys. If I go back, you're my number one priority. So this whole scenario was discussed. The only last thing that was lacking of this scenario to be fulfilled was this Toronto decision. If they saw him in their rotation as an important player, he would have stayed in the NBA, I guess. But since he didn't get any guarantees, he's on his way home right now. And to me, it's just crazy from a lot of different perspectives, I would say. But to me, it's just, mind-blowing because we have this EuroLeague team, which basically was all set for the next season, with Dorsey, with Keenan Evans on board, basically. Maybe with some other backcourt addition. Already with a lot of moving pieces inside the current roster. Partizan will have to go. Somebody else will have to go. And now we have this Sasha Vezenkov contract, 4 or 5 years, something close to 20 million, 17, 20 million. Huge contract on top of that. And, I'm happy that Sasha is coming back. I'm happy that it will improve Olympiacos' chances, to compete for the title. I just don't like this European basketball game is played over there, that out of nowhere they have these players coming, paid by this amount, changing, if I'm Alec Peters, how do I feel about the situation? I just got this extension 2 months ago, and now there's this guy coming, and probably have to leave because I'm not sure if I'm accepting this role one more time. If I like the money, if I like the environment that I'm in, if I'm accepting the situation, okay, I will stay, but probably I will have to go. So I'm just not sure if these movements are really healthy to European basketball. And it's not just about Vezenkov and Olympiacos. I wouldn't like if Panathinaikos adds, I don't know, 6th, 5th star guard coming from the NBA. I wouldn't like if Real Madrid starts, signing some crazy point guards, or centers once again. I would love to see some structure in European basketball. We're talking about some salary caps, some rules. We have this NBA game where it is all clear, these are the contracts, these are the roster spaces, this is the financial flexibility that you have to make moves, and you play according to the rules. Here, there's no consistency, no playbook, no rule book, nothing. And to build a team in this environment, to try to, if I'm the GM of the other team, to build a team in this environment, the basically jungle of no rules in European basketball. It's a weird feeling about the competition. But maybe I'm just a boomer in this case, and who cares?
So basically, you want the second apron rules that NBA just introduced. So you can't really have a lot of players on high contracts, and you have to construct basically evenly matched teams and just go on from there. But anyway,
it's just impossible in Europe. That's the worst part.
Yes, that's true. That's true. And I don't know. I'm happy that Vezenkov is supposedly back in Europe, because before leaving, he was my number one guy to watch. Just the way he moved off the ball was something spectacular, something you haven't really seen before. And whenever I tune to Olympiacos games, and I've seen a lot of them, it was just, oh my God, it was such a nice thing to watch. At the same time, I'm sad that his NBA opportunity didn't really work out. I really wanted to see him succeed in the NBA. It just didn't really, I don't know if the opportunity wasn't right or what, but I would have liked him to stay a little bit longer and just try himself in a different environment. I think that would have been interesting to watch. Maybe it would have worked out. But if you are an Olympiacos and you have a chance to sign Vezenkov, you do that. And, if there is one guy that's not happy, and I'm talking about Alec Peters and, okay, Filip Petrusev as well, you deal with that after. I mean, it's Sasha Vezenkov of all people. EuroLeague MVP, the one that got you, together with Lukas, to the EuroLeague final 2 years before. So you just do that, and you deal with the reasons after that. So Olympiacos have constructed an insane roster for next season if Vezenkov is, published officially. And I'm really looking forward to seeing that happening on court. But somehow, I don't know, if I'm Alec Peters, and, maybe he's a different type of person, but if I just got an extension and you sign, Sasha Vezenkov, who I replaced incredibly well, when I was asked to, I'm like, come on now, are you serious? He's probably understanding that and saying, it's still Sasha Vezenkov, but at the same time, you just went from a bench player, from not even playing in the EuroLeague final, to a guy that played on all EuroLeague team level. So now you definitely, you saw that you can play, you see that you belong to this level. You now definitely don't want to go back to being a backup again. So I'm really interested to see how the situation is going to evolve, and where are going, and where Alec Peters and Filip Petrusev are going.
At the same time, maybe we're just making things too complicated. Okay, I'm Alec Peters.
Could be.
Sasha Vezenkov is returning. I'm still paid over €1 million. I have this guaranteed contract. They will have to move my contract to another beautiful place in Europe. Maybe, I don't know. I just checked all the teams, all the rosters, who still has, Sasha Vezenkov's return shows that there's no such thing as the space in the roster. You can always find space, if you have money. But I've checked teams, I checked rosters, depth charts, and I think that he would fit in maybe FS, maybe Monaco, although they already did their moves. Some big teams could still find good situation for Alec Peters where both sides would benefit. So it's not the end of the world. You're not going to be thrown on the street. You're a millionaire. You're playing basketball. You just need to switch places, and that's part of the business. And you're not losing any money in this scenario of the business. So yeah.
Yeah, but it's not only about the money, and for sure, maybe we are overcomplicating things. So maybe Alec Peters is happy where he are right now, but I don't know. We'll see. And I think Belgrade teams are lacking a starting power forward. So.
Oh yeah, and just to conclude what I've mentioned in the beginning, and I see, Olympiacos fans coming at me, oh, what do you mean about these statements? I just don't like the whole European or EuroLeague basketball ecosystem. It's not only about signings like Vezenkov, but it's also about the contract situation. Okay, I understand that the circumstances with Maccabi were beyond basketball, and that's why 3 great, amazing players left and switched teams. But we've seen a lot of examples like Kevin Punter, for sure a lot of guys that I forgot at this point, but players who are under contracts somehow moving to other teams. We just recently had top paid player in Europe, with Nikola Mirotic, being cut by Barcelona because they're reducing the budget, and then they're making all these crazy signings, in 1 year, and actually the same summer. It's just going nowhere, I think. Of course, players are getting paid and stuff, but I'm not sure if it's healthy for the clubs if they want to not minimize, to make their expenses more effective, to bring some logic, to try to find some new faces for the EuroLeague, not to overpay for the same players that we have here in the EuroLeague. And, these teams are just looking for the shortcuts just to win, because they just, at some point, they get money, they get emotional, they have this hunger to win and to prove something, and they just throwing things on board instead of trying to organize things. I'm just not sure if that's healthy. We're complaining about these NCAA and their money, about Japan, about Australia, other markets, but I think that we're losing not only in money, but just not having a clear idea where we want to go and what are the ways, what are the costs of the directions that we're choosing. But again, it's just the boomer speaking after an early, tough morning with my son. So maybe that's the another day I would be really happy about Sasha Vezenkov returning to the EuroLeague, because we have our MVP back, and the way he was playing in the NBA, I mean, it was not fun to anyone. So it's just good. Probably it's going to be good to see good, funny, smiling Sasha Vezenkov playing for Olympiacos.
It will be fun. It will be fun, and I'll know another person who will be happy. It's our Gavrosol Ritis, who hasn't been on a podcast for a while, but I hope we get him back after the European Football Championship, and after, I don't know, maybe for the Olympics we will have him. Hopefully.
I mean, that's the plan. That was the plan, but it feels like that the guy feels destroyed after Panathinaikos win in the EuroLeague Final Four. So
come on now, don't do that to him. He's not. Don't do that to him. Come on now. Not now. Pau fans will believe that for sure.
They believe in anything, or even if you try to say the truth, they don't believe that way. They try to create some other truth. So I'm just messing with them, and I know that Ritis has no problem with that, because he's actually embracing the memes and the fun on social media.
Yeah. That's it? I don't know.
I think so. Oh, so short predictions for the semifinals. I will go through the schedule that I have.
Oh, yeah.
Almost forgot that. So we have the first game, Brazil-Philippines. Who do you pick?
Brazil. Easy.
Me too. Greece-Slovenia.
Greece. You already said that. You have to go with Slovenia.
Rationally, I would say Greece, but I go with my sweetheart, Slovenia. Bahamas, Lebanon.
Sweet. Bahamas.
Bahamas too. Cameroon, Latvia.
Latvia.
Was I frozen, or you were like thinking, considering?
For a second, I did.
No, I go with Latvia as well.
Cameroon ain't easy. Cameroon ain't easy to beat, I think.
Nothing is easy.
But
that's what Zaza Pachulia said, right?
No, he said Game 7. I think he said that.
But I think before Game 7, he said something like, nothing is easy. I will have to check that meme again.
The legendary video.
Dominican Republic, Croatia.
I think that's going to be an offensive game. Fun to watch, to be honest. But Croatia.
I go with Croatia, but once again, we have this game against Slovenia, and you're like, oh my god, I finally was wrong about Croatia. They're really good, and then they lose to New Zealand.
That's their story.
Finland, Spain.
Spain, easy. Also
for sure. Italy, Lithuania. You already said that.
And Puerto Rico.
Mexico, you pick Puerto Rico. Me too. So it's kind of, I'm not expecting a lot of upsets in this one.
And yet there will be a couple of them for sure.
Sure. Yeah.
It's just the way it goes.
That was the pattern for the first two games. So that's how it's going to continue probably before they conclude the competition. Okay, that's cool. We're going to have a wrap up of the Olympic qualifiers on Monday in the studio next time. Without Tritas, probably. He's on some crazy road trip somewhere, touring concerts. To me, Ritas now is like, this guy who leaves home for 1 year and just travels around the world. This summer, his path was unpredictable at all. It was impossible to catch him anywhere. So to me now it's the phase of Ritas that he's having. Going to Thailand or India, to find himself.
But he's not doing that. He's not doing that. Like he just. Okay.
Okay, guys. Thanks a lot. Subscribe to BasketNews YouTube channel. Press like button and also join basketnews.com/plus, be on Plus community for a lot of extra features that we offer. See you very soon.
See you guys.